Okay. Good stuff. We're just going to let that fan serenade us. Wow, summer, hey?
Holy cow.
It's been a real summer.
Yeah.
And we can't complain because it's rainy so much of the time. Actually, it's been lovely. And my little weather app said it was going to rain like for 5 days, and the sun's out right now, so there we go. All right. Ready to rock it? Buki Jukshin Meitok Dramri Rabling Shi Yande Gambadi Sange Shindu Mikte Uwad Hidroganam Shingla Jupashok Iram Guru Ratna Mandala Kamnuyatayami Chudan Soki Choknamla Donju Bardu Dakni Kyapsuchi Daki Junyan Gipe Sunamki Drola Panchur Sange Druparsho Chudan Soki Choknamla Danchu Bardu Dakni Kyapsuchi Daki Junyan Gipe Sunamki Drola Panchir Sange Druparsho Chudan Soki Choknamla Danchu Bardu Dakni Kyapsuchi Daki Junyan Gipe Sunamki Drola Panchir Sange Druparsho. Class 6. One more class after this, because there's only 7 in the Magic of Empty Teachers. Okay, where were we? Well, where we've been this whole course has been how to create the karma for your perfect teacher. You know, Magic of Empty Teachers, the magic. It's interesting, the title, Magic of Empty Teachers. So it's about teachers. It's about finding your teacher. It's about the fact that teachers are empty, just like everyone and everything else. And, you know, the magic is multifold, because the magic happens when you have a teacher. The magic happens when you empower your universe to be magical. Magic is also a way of looking at the world as if it were all divine and everyone was teaching you. And there is the most incredible things that can happen if you choose to follow the path of the Lam Rim, which step number 1 is finding your teacher. So, you know, and those are only the obvious things. As you start to unpack this course for yourself, you'll probably discover other ways that it's actually very... So it's not magic in that hocus pocus poof you get your teacher, or that poof you get a magical teacher out there that's been waiting for you to finally bump into them. You know, it is more complicated and way more simple than that, and that's no contradiction. It is as simple as putting in the causes it's as simple as planting the right seed to grow yourself a teacher. Easier said than done. So it is also about, it's interesting, the Magic of Empty Teachers is actually a whole teaching on the amazing power and synergy of karma and emptiness. It's not just karma. In fact, karma can't function without a really solid understanding of emptiness. And emptiness is not fixed or self-existent either. Emptiness is also empty. So anyways, this is not an emptiness course per se. It's about understanding all of that to get to the magic. So we've been talking about how the karma for a good teacher is to be a good student and to also create the causes for teaching others. So, that could be as simple as sharing what you've learned to someone else, or helping someone else get to teachings, or facilitating the space so that others could enjoy the teachings whether they're sitting here or not, like that. So from last class, okay, so all the way through we've been going through several authoritative texts. The Jetsun Kappa's Lamrim Chenmo, Pabonka Rinpoche's Liberation in the Palm of Your Hand, Alexander Berzin's whole contemporary look at teachers from his online ebook. And last week we delved into day 2 of the original Magic of Empty Teachers teachings that this is all from. This meaning this course. I mean, the Magic of Empty Teachers is from the Lamrim and the Liberation, but last week we finally started to go through the beautiful poetry that Geshe Michael has gifted us with. So I think we left off at a quality of a teacher, and it's all about the qualities of a teacher, which also means that these are the qualities that we need to cultivate in ourselves, because that's the only way we're going to create a teacher who can draw that out of us, right? Or shed the light on it. So we left off with a teacher of learning and of teaching. So a teacher of learning and a teacher of teaching. Most of these qualities have at least 2 aspects to them, right? So a good teacher does teach students how to learn. And we spent several classes ago going through the qualities of a good student, and how you should be an upturned pot that's clean and not cracked, right? Like that. Like even teaching that simple metaphor to someone is teaching them how to be a good student. And it's interesting to, actually I love that because it's very kind of comical, and it's pretty visceral when you think of a pot. If you think of it with the lid on, or if you think of it as, needing a good scrubbing, or if you think of it as being full of holes or leaking, like that's something that we can fix our minds on, right? So it's a good metaphor. The way these courses are set up, and all the ACI courses that Geshe-la has, again, gifted is the only way I can think of, gifted us with. You could just listen, you could just come onto Ustream, you could never show up for a class, and you will still get the benefit of his blessing at a very deep level. But if you want to get more, actually I shouldn't say that, you may or may not get it at a deep level. You'll get it. It'll be information. It may go in one ear and out the other. But if you also do the homeworks and review the answers to that, to do the quizzes, and then study all of that and do the final, you've actually reviewed the course material at least 3 times. At least. Because you review, you hear it in class, you do the reading. You've actually learnt it and you reviewed it once. Then you look over your notes, maybe discuss it with your friends, do your homeworks. That's another time through. You do your quizzes, that's another time through. And by the time you get to the final, because, I don't know, brought up in the West, we have a real aversion for tests and, cramming for quizzes. And usually we immediately forget what we studied once we've either passed the grade or whatever, right? Like it's on to the next thing. And with this stuff, it's not like that. It is, first it's an intellectual knowledge. It's a remembering of the facts and the information and the details. Do this, then do that. Then, though, there's the experiential component, right, where you really start to keep your 6-time book and see these things actually having legs in your own life, and then you share that with others, usually because we're so thrilled about the fact that it's working in our life. And we've learned before, we have to curb our enthusiasm and get very skillful about how we share this information, which is part of the skill of being a teacher, right? It's teaching to the capacity of those who are listening to you. So you're not overwhelming them with your enthusiasm, but you're lighting them up with the proof of what your practice is doing for you. So there's all those levels, and in that, to get from that sheer intellectual blah blah to that felt knowledge of this stuff, it does take the review, it does take becoming familiar. So when we're asked to do our homeworks and quizzes and finals, I remember initially thinking, oh, what a drag, this feels like punishment, but after doing them, it's like, homeworks, I get to do homeworks, because then or debate, coming to debate, and you get to really nail that information, so that it's more than just information. You start to clear the cobwebs out of your confusion. And areas that didn't quite sit right or weren't quite clear, you get to clarify, and you get to really understand things at a very visceral level, so that you can teach others. And I think that built into this quizzes, homeworks, finals is this cleverly teaching us how to build a new habit. We build habits all the time. They're just not that useful to us. So this is one of the things that we're encouraged to share with others. And I love the students here. You guys all do homework weekends, you meet at a great cool coffee shop, and it's more than just slogging through this stuff. And I know the energy and the enthusiasm that happens here during the infrequent but pretty magical debate practices, and there will be more in the fall. We've kind of had big gaps in the summer, but that will pick up again in the fall. And Venerable Ningbo is coming, who is one of Geshe Michael's direct attendants, and he's just wrote a book called Easy Logic, and he's the master debate teacher, so he's coming to town soon too. Very exciting. So lots of examples of good teachers, and good teachers who are teaching students to be good students and in turn become good teachers, right? So like that, a good teacher teaches not only the learning, but the teaching. Now, having said that, it is useful to get the oral lung, the download first, and not be so concerned about. In fact, I actually haven't seen people do it here, or at least I hope I haven't. I haven't seen people do it here, and I hope people aren't doing it here. But the habit of answering your homeworks in class while the information is being taught may seem like you're having an efficient use of time. It's actually not helping you as a student. Mm-hmm. And the teacher doesn't care how quick or how slow you do the work, but it's something that I don't recommend. It is something I've been guilty of, I have to admit, especially if I had 5 courses going at once. It's the note-taking goes right into the homework, but it's not the best way. And thank goodness I have to teach this stuff, because then I can't just rely on that, right? Good note-taking is important, really important. And, we have Holy John Stillwell to thank for all the ACI amazing notes. So it's interesting for courses like this, for, even with the Ustream or whatever, to take as good notes as you can and review them. And so I just wanted to say that, because I haven't seen people do that, but as people start to get busier, that could be an easy temptation, right? But we're always recommended to sit, listen, take it all in, and then go do your stuff. Yeah, much better. Okay. The thing about teaching how to teach, this is really important. When I first started teaching, I was really nervous, like stage fright nervous. And it's not that I don't get a level of tension before I teach, but like I used to, when I was younger, I used to perform. I used to dance, and I used to play the piano, and it was formal classical Japanese dancing actually that I did. And every single time before I went on stage, I was so nervous I could throw up. And if I was cocky, if I felt like I had it down, I always made a mistake. Dropped a fan or whatever, missed a music cue. But whenever I was so nervous I thought I was going to throw up, actually it got better when I was so nervous but didn't have to throw up, I always performed better. So there was a certain level of energy that is good, but as a teacher or as a new teacher, you got to curb that. And the best advice I ever got was from my teacher, who said, "Sherry, it's not about you. The only reason you're this nervous is because you think it's about you. You think they're either not going to like you, or you're going to fuck up, or excuse me, like it's going to be, but it's not about you. And it's not even about how good or bad you look, or how eloquent or not eloquent you sound. It's about how well did you study the material that you're going to present, and how well can you present it for them, not for you." And that was the biggest revelation. And yeah, in those early classes, I was reading my script, and Islamic roots, that's usually what you do. You usually teach like almost verbatim how your teacher taught you the first few times. And then once you get more comfortable with the flow of it, and you've had some personal experience with it, then you do personalize it. You don't change the information, but you personalize the presentation so that, but even then, it's not about you. And usually, that's the best thing to remember, is to just get out of our own ways. I find that I never know while I'm teaching whether it's good, bad, or otherwise, but after the fact, if I do have any compliments at all, usually those times, I don't actually remember what I said. I mean, I have my notes so I can tell you generally what we covered, because it's also, not only is it not about me, this wisdom is not from me. It just comes through me. So when I can truly let that flow, then I know I'm doing what I was trained for. If it ever is awkward, or if I ever start to feel self-conscious about it, then I know that I've let my ego get in the way, So it's kind of it's like driving. You always kind of like check your, when you're driving. I just drove the freeway, right, to get home from the Kootenays, and when you're driving so that you're aware but you're calm and relaxed, you don't even realize you're constantly doing a checks and balances, but you are, right? It's like that with the teaching. You learn it well enough, but then you let the wisdom come through. Okay. So that was a review of the last point from last class. That's not even this class. So this class we're going to move on with some of those qualities of a teacher from Geshe Michael's Magic of Empty Teachers. Okay, the next one is called Learning and Teaching in Honor. Learning and Teaching in Honor. So, first of all, the opportunity to teach Dharma in and of itself is a huge honor. The merit from teaching is huge, but you can't get that merit if there's no one to teach, right? So if you guys don't show up, I can sit here talking to the, air. But now they do say there are bardo beings who are attracted to Dharma. So if I could purely teach with that intent, then it wouldn't be wasted. But for the most part, it's rare that if no one showed up, that someone would sit here and give a full 2-hour class, right? So it's like that. It's a very great honor to teach. And And the honor of learning, like there is nothing better that we can do for ourselves than to learn how to stop our suffering, right? So that we can teach others how to do that. But not only that, it's a great honor to be able to teach. And great teachers know that they're always learning. Always. So, yeah. And, you know, when we have to teach, we have to prepare. So we're constantly learning new ways to present material also, right? Okay. Next one. A builder happy to go to first grade. So a good teacher is a builder, like they're building a lineage. That's what we're doing here, right? We're a teacher training school. Or we're building a center, or we're building a retreat. You know, we're always building things. And building not for the sake of our own, oh, look what a good job I did, but so that this wisdom carries on. And this happy to go to the first grade means that a good teacher is never too proud or arrogant to go and ask for teachings for themselves, to go and ask teachings from someone else. And you know, His Holiness to this day still takes teachings from others. Yeah. And when you go to learn as a teacher, you really have to go without arrogance or preconceived notions. Go as if this were your first time, even if it's a different interpretation of something that maybe you did your PhD dissertation on, you know? It's because going with a sense of, I have seen this where someone will show up and kind of almost want to pick a fight with the teacher because they want to show off how much they know about what the teacher is supposed to be teaching. And it's so, when you see a really masterful teacher, they actually engage the question to a point, but they do shut the person down if the person is starting to harm themselves by the whole dissing the teacher and dissing the teachings thing, right? But usually, because I've seen this happen too, a good teacher is so masterful in that dance that they can actually, honestly, like if the person trying to do that does know more, turn that into an opportunity for them to teach, right? And that usually shifts the whole tone of things too, usually. So a good teacher understands the need to be humble and knows when to say, you know what, I don't know that. I'll go find out. Or better yet, you go find out. Come back and tell me. Yeah. Okay, a good teacher, next one, even in their own school. This means that teachers can always learn from their own students. Always. And be open to that and not be defensive or prideful when that opportunity arises. Always be encouraging. So that example I gave you of the one that comes to pick a fight, it's sort of like you take away the animosity, like you diffuse that, and you get to the real wisdom. You could either do it in a form of debate, or you turn it into something that is a learning experience for everyone. And as I said, if the student is truly presenting a new level of information that you're not aware of or that is helping everyone else, then you don't shut that down. Like you don't belittle them or criticize them or discourage that curiosity to come to the truth of things, right? Yeah. That's not to say you let someone railroad a class. I mean, I remember there was one earlier about how you have to be able to take control because it's not fair to the other students, and it's not good for the person who's just grandstanding or doing it just out of a need for attention, you know. Next one, proud papa. A great teacher, when their students do achieve something or do something that's good, they're very proud and happy. So, you know, these are kind of along the there's a theme repeating here, right? About the sincere humbleness, the goal of not being a lineage buster, of teaching your students to be even better than you are. And when they start to rise above, to be so happy because you achieved what you said you were going to, right? Yeah. It's a sign of your success if they succeed. Next one, a push from the nest. This is a hard one. This is when at a certain point in the teacher-student relationship, and we're talking like a formal teacher, where either the student has learned everything that you could possibly teach them, or the karma has just ripened in a way that you cannot teach them any longer, or they cannot learn from you any longer. Either way, any one of those scenarios, and there's probably more. I think we even talked about it in a few classes before when Lama Marud admitted like there was a student that he just could not teach, right? Then the push from the nest is that you have to let them fly. You have to cut them loose. And you know what? Not every little bird wants to go. So you have to send them out into the world. Now the flip side of that too is that if you have really good students, it's a real temptation to keep them close. Because as a teacher with a bunch of really good students, life is pretty easy. They do stuff for you, like set up your room, and they bring you snacks, and they prepare your course materials and do all your publicity, and it's pretty cushy in many ways. So it's a temptation to keep them close and not want to cut them loose, right? But that's wrong too. And in my experience, I have seen teachers do this, cut them loose, and usually it's the ones that have worked so hard and the ones that have wanted to be so close, or they've kept so close even after they've cut loose. They do still help, but it's not in the same way. They then become big teachers of their own and train other people to do this, and but still they never lose that surrendering to their own teacher, because one of the things their teacher said to them is, you gotta go, right? So they're doing what their teacher told. Do what you're told, right? That was the thing that we were supposed to do. Okay, next one, Genghis Khan and lieutenants. So this means Genghis Khan and lieutenants. This means to delegate, to be able to delegate responsibility and authority to others. So there's two parts to this. So delegating means that you're not micromanaging everything. This has to do more with, of course, you're not going to delegate explaining an ACI course, right? But you do delegate things that can be delegated, which is why we have the whole event producer system in place here at 3 Jewels, partly because we understand the karma of service, but also it's not necessary that the person teaching it has to control every aspect of what's going on, right? So you delegate and you trust that the people you delegate it to are perfect. So perhaps they don't, pour your water with the right amount of, I don't know, mint or something, you know what I mean? But that's not, it's perfect. It's the ability to, see, you can't push them out and tell them to fly if you haven't even let them walk, right? So there is that, but there also is the, there's two parts, responsibility and authority. Those are two different things, because you can delegate responsibility and still micromanage by not giving anyone the authority to act on your behalf or to be independently thinking, right? And so with Genghis Khan and the lieutenants, you do actually not only ask people to do things, but then once you've asked and you've entrusted them with them, you leave them alone to do it. Yeah. So, they're not constantly looking over their shoulder. And this one's a little bit more, I don't know, I think because we're such a small group here that you get delegated and given responsibility pretty quickly because there's so few people. But again, it's, I don't know, it can happen in any, I know Diamond Mountain at one point was like 200 people deep, so that it could take a lot longer to be delegated something, like to have the delegation trickle down to you, right? Actually, my teacher has a beautiful story. Apparently, no, I have seen this. Geshe Michael is famous for, usually at the start of a term, doing kind of a, what I did at summer camp type of a thing, where he has people do presentations of how they spent their time away. And usually it's like one remarkable Dharma project after the other is being presented. And then before term breaks, or even during term, he's constantly assigning projects. And my teacher at one point said that she went running up to him to get a project assigned to her, and he did, right? And then the next day she realized that she actually didn't want the project, she wanted the attention. She wanted to be acknowledged as someone who had helped, right? But then when she saw the assignment given to her, so then she had to go back hat in hand and go, I'm really sorry, but I have to confess to you, the only reason I signed up for this is because I wanted to. So she confessed her wrong motive. He didn't take the project back. He said, this will cure you of that. This is what you need. It's like, and she tells that story to us. And it's beautiful because, of all the people I know, my teacher is the most amazing. I have more than one teacher, but she's the most amazing task mistress. Like someone who does get things done, and remarkably. So I can't possibly think that she would think she was incapable of something, right? But it's a good note to self. Be careful of your motive. That was the next word of advice under this Genghis Khan and lieutenants. That's the other thing, when you have a teacher, it's not like your thoughts are going to be not afflicted. In fact, they're probably going to help stir that up even more. And one of the best things you can do is actually just to confess to them what's going on. They know anyways, but it's very cathartic and healing. And it shifts things around when you're not trying to hide things and trying to will them away, or, trying to be a good little student and appear all so perfect. They know you're not perfect, and it's their job to help make you perfect, right? So, like that. Okay, a maker and passer of the torch. So this is not just about the lineage path, which we've talked about, but it means to create a body of material, to hand out readings, or make them accessible. You guys are getting the added bonus of music lyrics in this course, which is not part of the original teaching. But it's like that. Like you make material available that will help enhance the information being taught. Next one, a spider in a big web means that a good teacher has access to resources. Yeah. And I gotta tell you, there's one nun in our lineage who is my angel when it comes to course material, especially ACI course material. Venerable Jigme, she is one of Geshe Michael's close attendants also, and one of the senior nuns. And if you need to know anything about anything, she can whip out an audio or a reading, or like, it's miraculous, the depth of information that this one being has access to, who I have access to. So it's like, seriously, I kiss her feet, because it's just, and Lama Ora, who puts up everything on the knowledge base, and all these amazing beings who have assisted Geshe Michael, the ACIP, the Asian Classics Institute Input Project, right? Like, we have access to incredible resources. And as you start teaching, you will find out that you need to have good resources. So these readings that I've just been kind of photocopying or emailing, those are excerpts from bigger books that as people get really serious about this stuff, you should have the books. So we have one copy in our library, but those of us who teach actually have a set of our own too. And it's just, you never know when you're going to need to look up a reference, you know? The one thing I will admit we are remiss in at this level yet in our particular immediate Three Jewels Vancouver is we do not have anyone who is fluent in Tibetan or Sanskrit yet. We have a handful of people who have very strong seeds. We had some Tibetan language classes happening for a bit, and we've had some. Actually, most of us who've been practicing for a while can recite the Sanskrit alphabet only because we were taught the song for it. But it's something that we're not strong in yet in this particular school. And at Diamond Mountain, there are many, many students of Holy Geshe Michael who can look at. That's the other thing, to access the original authoritative texts that are on the ACIP database. They're scanned and they're there. If you can read it, is mostly in Tibetan. So it's very high incentive for people to learn it, because really you should go, and we have the most exquisite translations, I give you that, but wouldn't it be amazing if you could also simultaneous read the original text that it was translated from? Is that somebody? Let's check.
Oh, Rita. Yeah.
Do we have a drop-in?
Yeah, do you want to come in?
Hello. Come on in. What's your name?
And my name is Yi.
Yi.
Yeah.
I'm Sherry. This is Zoe.
I'm Zoe. Oh, Zoe.
We have a few people away today, but have a seat. How did you hear about us today?
Yeah, good. Thank you.
You heard about us on Meetup?
I just saw you have active yet tonight.
Okay.
And I thought I was late.
You are late, but that's
Yeah.
okay. Have a seat.
I passed by and then
and the door was open.
Yeah.
Perfect. You know what? It is
Uh-huh.
8:08. You are at a perfect time. So have a seat.
Okay, thank you.
We're actually more than 3/4 of the way through a course called The Magic of Empty Teachers. And it's a course that was the information was originally presented by Geshe Michael Roach, who is the head of our particular lineage, when he was doing a 3-year silent solitary retreat. He would come out once a year, blindfolded, and teach whatever he was inspired to share with his students, who numbered in the hundreds by then. And this is one of the first teachings he gave, called The Magic of Empty Teachers. You know that this is based in Tibetan Buddhist philosophy?
You mean yoga?
No, the Three Jewels Vancouver? Okay.
I just said that because I like yoga. And I thought
Okay, so there is no yoga class in terms of the physical asana, but the wisdom is perhaps some of the most important yoga you can do for your mind. So that's where we're at right now. So we're going through a whole list of qualities that a good teacher should have.
Okay.
Because everything we teach here is to train you to be able to teach someone else.
You mean come here will be teacher?
No, everything that we're teaching in these classes,
Yeah?
regardless of whether it's this class or an ACI class or even a yoga class, we teach it in such a way that you should be able to teach someone else.
You mean the training for teacher?
No, all the information that you hear, we encourage you to explain it to someone else.
Okay.
It's okay, don't look so scared. You don't have to go out and teach someone at the end of class. But if you were expecting a physical asana yoga class, this isn't the right class for you.
Oh yeah, I do yoga. Yeah.
No, this is not a yoga class.
It's not yoga.
No. So if you were wanting to come for a yoga class, this isn't it.
Okay.
Okay, so I don't want you to feel like you're wasting your time because I am going to talk for another hour. And you are welcome to stay and listen.
It's an inspired person, just a spirit, right? It's not a class for yoga, but you will.
I will inspire you, or I will try to, yes.
Yeah.
And we're going to play a song later, so you're welcome to listen.
Thank you.
Okay, so we're talking about one of the most important things in any practice, and actually especially yoga practice. You need a teacher, right? You need someone who can show you how to get into the proper positions in a safe way, in a way that maybe pushes you beyond your abilities or what you think your abilities are, because they can see what you're capable of, right? So the next one is called a spider in a big web, and that means, this is the one we started, where a teacher should have access to resources, to information, to handouts, to the authoritative sources that we have. So we've got a lending library there, which everyone has access to. Next one, peer revelry. So you know what a peer is? It means someone who's at the same level as you. Revelry is a word that means to celebrate, to take joy in, to applaud, right? To rejoice in other people's success. So usually you hear of peer rivalry, right? You know, especially amongst students who are maybe jockeying for position, or teachers who are trying to compete for who's the better teacher. So it's not peer rivalry, it's peer revelry that we're encouraging, which means to really be happy about how good someone is at what they do. And, you know, I've talked to you before about how Geshe Michael says, for our benefit, but he says his worst problem is jealousy. Jealousy at other Dharma teachers who could maybe fill, you know, an audience of 1,000. Well, actually, you know, in his last talk in Kiev, he had 1,500 people. So I say he says it for our benefit, right? But he says that is his biggest problem, is being jealous, because he doesn't have a lot of problems. He's pretty highly realized, and, you know, does a lot of yoga. So, but he does say that we have to be very careful that no matter what level we get to, no matter how good we get at teaching what we teach, that we have to be very careful that we're not prideful and that we're not so competitive that we don't want someone else to get better than us, right? So this is where the best antidote to that is to just always rejoice. Be super happy when someone else has like 20 people in their class instead of 2, or, you know, whatever it is, to be really, really, or someone gets an opportunity to go to another city to teach, and they've been invited and flown out, and you've taken exactly the same amount of courses as them, or whatever, right? Like, be super happy about them, or be super excited, and that's what this is, because it only comes back as benefit to you. Next one, a free referral service. This means you do not get possessive about your students. If you have taught them to a certain level, but you see that your student needs something else, and you know someone who can teach that, you refer them, or you refer the teacher to them. Always look out for the best interest of your student. So if what your student needs is not from you, but from someone else, then you let them know. Okay, that's what that means. Next one, a piggy bank, a teddy bear, and a bureaucrat. These are qualities of a good teacher. What's a piggy bank? It's where you put coins in to save it, right? A teddy bear is something that you can bring you comfort, and a bureaucrat is like a government official, right? So piggy bank actually means that you don't teach for the money. You're not in it for the money. Dharma should be free. And then a teddy bear means that a teacher is there for you for emotional support. But this comes with a caveat. A teacher is not your psychologist. A teacher is not your mother or father. A teacher is not your lover. A teacher is not actually even your friend. They are there to get you out of suffering and to teach you how to do that. But at times when you need emotional support, they're there to provide that. Because what is more comforting than to know you can end your suffering, right? Seriously. To know that it's not fixed and that that too is empty, right? Yeah. And being a bureaucrat means, actually in this instance, it means, when I read it, first of all, I thought it meant to be diplomatic, but it's not about that. A bureaucrat is someone in government who knows how to get things done, right? They're the movers and the shakers. They know how to get the resources in place, to have the communication to flow, and so that's what it means, that they know where to get the material printed. They know which links to send you to get the resources you need. They've got all of that infrastructure available to you. So that's what those things are. Okay, next one. A good teacher should be a golden magnet. So it means that at a certain point, it's the teacher's responsibility to find and nurture good students. So they should be charismatic and magnetic at a certain level, and be able to present the material in all sorts of, they should be able to morph and be able to appear in all sorts of guises, you know? Reaching out to different people in different ways. The next one is, they say a good teacher is a symphony conductor. So a conductor has to manage a lot of musicians, right? Like a lot of people. And so, like a conductor conducting a whole symphony, a good teacher should be able to manage a whole group of students without preference or prejudice or losing control of that. They should be able to make that whole, it's like a conductor can take all the different parts and make beautiful music. A teacher should be able to conduct the class and be able to know how to basically, this could be a couple of ways. They should know how to push everybody's buttons and they should be able to know how to ring everybody's bell, right? So, like that. Okay. The next one, a teacher is like an old pair of shoes. And this has two meanings. One, old pair of shoes is that they're dependable and they're predictable. And they're comfortable, okay? The other one is that, like an old pair of shoes, when you become a teacher, you will be taken for granted. It will be, because, you know, it's like you're like an old pair of shoes, you know, it's like, see ya. So those are the two different sides of that. Next one, a good teacher is like an old hat. And this actually means that the teacher has a lot of experience. I think that's an American slang, that you're old hat at something. Yeah, it means that they have a lot of experience at teaching what it is that they're teaching you. Okay? Okay, next one. A good teacher is an active player. And what this means is that they are, see, especially with this stuff, with this type of philosophy that we teach here, it's not just about the information, it's about actually doing the practice. So they are active in living their Dharma. Okay, that's what you're looking for. The next one, by their own game plan, means that the teacher has to be practicing what they're preaching. Otherwise, it's not authentic. The next one is a kid single-pointed on a double scoop cone. That's kind of, we could all use a double scoop cone right now, hey, with how hot it is. A double scoop cone is a double scoop of ice cream on a cone, and a kid single-pointed on that, right? So a teacher should, and the reason they say a teacher should be like a kid focused on a double scoop cone is that the teacher should be as excited about teaching as a child is over a double-decker ice cream cone, right? And that type of childish joy is very, very contagious. That's the type of, so you don't need to proselytize, you just need to like be totally excited about your life and your practice, and people will get excited by your excitement, right? It's contagious in that way. Like laughter can be infectious. You ever notice that? Someone starts laughing and then everybody's laughing and they don't even know what they're laughing about. It's just fun to laugh, right? So like that. it's a kind of energy. It's the joyous effort that we talk about in the 6 perfections. It's that type of intensity. Next one, a gem carver. Remember last time we had the master sculptor who could see the carving, and I'm saying it wrong, but it was like we were drawing the analogy of how they already see the sculpture in the marble, right? So a gem carver is a different, it's not seeing the jewel, the diamond in the rough, but it is about being able to go after the greatest subjects, the hardest information, the deepest of the philosophies. So you want someone who's mining the jewels of wisdom. And that's what a gem carver is. Yeah. You know, like Arya Nagarjuna, whose body of work is really all about emptiness. Like all of it is. However many which ways can we talk about this and, you know, bake our brains, right? So, okay, the next one, a new edition of an old book. So the old book means that we teach according to tradition. We teach from authoritative sources that are often over 2,000 years old. And a new edition means that you repackage it. You present it in new and different ways. Everything I'm teaching right now is not new. It's actually from one book that was written in the late 1400s and another one that was written around 1800. And they even go back to, 2,500 years in terms of the actual wisdom that we're talking about, right? But our teacher presented this in 2000 or 2001. And then we got it represented in this sort of teacher training type model in the last sort of 5 to 8 years. So it's a new edition of an old book, right? Like that. Okay, next one, triple evolution. This refers, so a teacher should be or have a triple evolution. So what this means is the 3 different kinds of teachers: young teachers, middle-aged or middle career teachers, and elder or established experienced teachers. That's what it means by the triple evolution. So a young teacher is like a virtuoso. Like they can just amaze you with their feats of debate skill and, like all of the way they can just basically navigate ancient scripture and make it look really cool and hip and happening, right? Like they're just totally with it when it comes to being able to wow you with their Dharma presence. And there is a youthful exuberance and an energy. So that's the one level. Then there's the middle teacher who is much more accessible. Like they're not the virtuoso sort of, oh my God, like, look at them. It's the teacher that is able to mine the real fine points of things and get very, very profound things across to you in very simple ways, And then, of course, the most senior can do that, like the whole subject of what we've been talking about called emptiness, which can take volumes and volumes to understand. They can teach it to you with the demonstration of a pen. They can hold up a pen and teach you everything you need to know about karma and emptiness right then and there, right? Yeah. So like that. So they not only have simplified things so that it's accessible information, but they've distilled it down to the jewel, to the actual essence, and they can explain it in a way that we can understand it. So those are the 3 levels of evolution. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We have 8 more that we're going to do today. Next one, Trailblazer and Lion. So, Trailblazer is that, I said before that you have to really know your material when you teach. So having done that, having really learned your material, prepared it, then you blaze new trails with it. I have seen Lama Marut do this. Like, he has taught the entire ACI curriculum and the whole yoga philosophies, but then he's gone on and really mined new areas also in the same, like, he's taken, for example, the Bhagavad Gita, because he also is a professor of comparative philosophies and a Sanskrit scholar. He's fluent. So he's taken that and completely translated it and forged new territory in that to help his teacher, Geshe Michael, who hadn't done that yet, at the time that he did it. So like that. But I have to say too, Geshe Michael gave 3 examples of trailblazers in our lineage. He cited Master Nagarjuna, Arya Nagarjuna, Master Asanga, and Jetsongkhapa. And if you were more familiar with our lineage, these are 3 names of very, very famous scholars. And Geshe Michael cites these 3 people, and Lama Marut makes a point of saying it occurs to him that as we speak, there is one more name we can add to that list, which is Geshe Michael. Definitely trailblazing with all of this information, right? Yeah. And a lion is that they have the courage to do it, right? And a lion is also very much a leader in the animal kingdom, right? So, like that. Okay, next one. Golden retriever and a koala bear. So, this is interesting. I would never have put these 2 together to demonstrate what the point is, which is that a great master doesn't demonstrate their complete abilities or their complete strengths unless they absolutely need to. Like, none of them will tell you if they've had a direct experience of emptiness. None of them will ever show how to do anything magical or whatever. Not that they can't, but they won't show off in those ways, right? And so like that, a koala bear apparently, I don't know koala bears, but apparently, like, they look so cuddly and sweet, but apparently they can be quite powerful and lethal, right? But they don't show it off. They're usually in mulberry trees just chewing the leaves, right? And hugging the trees. But they apparently do have a lot of power and strength. So that's the koala bear. The golden retriever, we weren't actually given the reason why golden retriever in the dissertation, but one of the other teachers that have taught this did a bit of research, and they found out that a golden retriever, of all the different breeds of dogs, they're hunters, right? They're known for being able to chomp down on prey, but not actually rip through the skin. It's not that they can't, but they have such control over their strength. So they have a very, very light bite, even though they can, they're big dogs, right? So I actually like that. That's not from the original dissertation, but I think that makes sense in terms of the 2 qualities. Next one. A teacher should be like gold to cut or file or melt. This is actually a bit of a pun or a bit of a variation on an ancient Buddhist. Lord Buddha said, don't take what I say just because I say it. Test it like you would gold. File it. Burn it. Apply a touchstone, right? So he's saying, like, a teacher welcomes the testing of what they're teaching. And I always say that. Don't take anything that I'm saying just because I'm talking, right? You got to test it for yourself. You have to, that's what debates are. You challenge you test and challenge and temper the information. You test it out on yourself and in your life. That's what the qualities are. Okay, next one, scientist and a detective. So, like a scientist, a good teacher is always investigating what they're teaching and always very clear when they don't know what they don't know, right? Like, we don't know what we don't know. So if a teacher, right? So a teacher is very clear on what they don't know and they investigate. They try to find out. And they set about finding out like a good detective. So that's what the scientist and a detective are about. But the next one means that a great teacher should be like a ballerina. Now, ironically, or maybe coincidentally, Geshe Michael actually likes to do ballet. It's a really great form of, he loves yoga and he loves ballet, because like yoga, ballet actually requires a lot of core and balance, right? And it's very graceful. So what this is a teacher should have poise and grace. They are unflappable. They don't get all in a tiff just because things shift, or it's too hot, or it's too cold, or nobody shows up, or too many people show up, or they're just grace under pressure, like a ballerina. Okay, next one is called one or two gathered, or in an arena. And this has to do partly with what I was saying earlier about how when you start teaching, you have to get out of your own way. Well, one or two gathered or in an arena means that do not get bummed out when nobody shows up for class, or one or two people show up for class. And also don't get freaked out if 200 people show up for class, right? Like you're just there to help them. You're just there to make sure that the student gets something out of the class for whatever reason they came for. So it's because it's not about you as a teacher. It's about what can you share with someone that will perhaps help shift their view of the world, that will help them. We're not trying to change people's minds just for the sake of changing people's minds. We're trying to help people stop their suffering. So whether it's one or two gathered or in an arena is what that means. Okay, the next one is a seal, and we're talking like the animal, the seal, the water animal, not a glue stick. Okay, so a seal in a quiet sea refers to three different qualities. So like a seal, the animal, one is that a good teacher is playful. Seals are playful, right? They like to bob and play in the water. They're fairly easygoing. They don't take things too seriously. Two, they're also they have a strong ability to be able to relax. And I think and when I heard that, I thought, yeah, I've seen pictures of seals on rocks, and just sunning themselves or whatever, right? So they're playful, they can relax, and thirdly, a good teacher has a kind of exudes a sense of serenity and ease and a gentleness, a softness. So, and Geshe Michael says that those qualities come from having done something your whole life, so that it's second nature. That you know what you know, and you know it's not about you. So you can relax and just be in the joy of the teaching, right? It comes with experience and maturity. So that quality of being a seal in a quiet sea might not be a quality you feel you have when you're first teaching, but it's something that you can definitely develop. Okay, I'm motoring through because it's 8:35 and we're almost finished the blah blah part, and then you get to listen to a song. So the last one that I'm going to cover today, because we do have one more class next week, is called A Match Made in Heaven. So really, you want, whatever it is you're learning, whether it's a yoga class or a philosophy class or a cooking class or, whatever it is, you want to find a teacher who fits you, who you can really feel comfortable with, who you can look up to, who is like a perfect match for you. And that's why they say a match made in heaven. And what this whole course has been doing is telling us what qualities to look for in a teacher that might be perfect for us, and really saying that it's not coming out there from the teacher. All these qualities we're being told what they mean and why they're important. We want to cultivate them in ourselves. So with this match made in heaven, you're looking for many of these qualities. But if you find a teacher who has at least a handful of them, remember 3, 5, or 10, or 1, and you might not see these other ones, but say you've got 12 qualities you want in a teacher, and the teacher in front of you that you feel is a good fit has 6 of them. Then what you need to do is develop those. If you're not seeing the other 6 qualities in them, then you know what you have to work on, right? But you can work on them with that teacher. And the interesting thing is, when you see that quality in them, you have confirmation you've developed it in yourself. And when you feel that you've got it in yourself, you won't be able to help but see it in them, and you'll think, why didn't I see that before? Like, there it is, like that. So that's the fit. Those qualities are not coming from them. So whether they fit with you or not is actually in your control. Yeah.
I like that.
So these are just different qualities, and in the original teachings, Geshe Michael went through about 90 different qualities. And we're going through about 20 each class. But the other thing that I've liked to do in this class, because it's not as formal as some of the philosophy classes, and it's not as practice-based as the Wednesday night classes, which are about meditation. So actually Wednesday night is a beautiful class to drop in on if you're trying to develop your meditation practice. And then throughout the week there's various classes for actual physical yoga too. But in this course, we don't do much formal meditation, but actually 2 of the teachers, Lama Marut did the Bob Dylan song, and that was the only song he threw into the mix, although he does love music. And then Alexander Muir, who taught this in the early days of Three Jewels Vancouver, included the Bikrunga Sway song and the Morchiba song. And as I was preparing the class and re-listening to the music, and I'm a musician and I love music, so I then started to find other music that was just so appropriate for class. And we've been talking about, actually last class I did 2, right? I did the one that the student feels, which is Who Do You Think You Are? That's what the song was called. It's the student speaking to the teacher, right? But then the songs about the teacher being really about, they're like love songs, right? Really. So today's song is about the mind. Last week we did the mindset that we tend to naturally have around our teacher, which is that we don't want to be pushed too far. But today's song is about the place that we really want to get our heart to, so that we can open up to the teacher. And this again comes from the Christian faith. It comes from a worship team, and it's called I Surrender. And if you want to follow along, those are the words to the song. You don't have to sing, don't worry. But if you want to, it's a gorgeous song. I actually recommend that you kind of get into a gentle meditation pose and just close your eyes. Like, have your spine really straight. Just be in a posture. Are you okay sitting like that, or would you prefer to be in a chair?
Yeah, it's okay.
Okay. You're okay?
Okay.
Good. And so the song is about, let me see how long this one is. It's got a lot of lyrics, doesn't it? So it sounds like, oh, and this is by one of my favorite worship teams called Hillsong. It's just under 6 minutes long.
You did
Okay?
the ocean song you gave us a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
Everyone I know is listening to.
Okay, you're going to love this one too. It's called I Surrender. So get comfortable, get into a state where, whether you have a teacher or not, just imagine someone in front of you who is a teacher for you. See them really beautiful and exquisite and so happy to see you, okay? So that's the mindset you're holding as you're listening to this. Let me just take a second to get a connection. bear with me while I get a connection. Are we on internet on this one? We're streaming?
We should be, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh yeah, let's do it. Sign this on.
Okay.
You can be nervous there for a second. I'm like, yeah.
I just need to get us online. This is such a gorgeous song. You have to hear it. Come on. Maybe I could get on the computer. Let's try that. Let's try, or are you online on your phone?
Let me just go. I just checked something. So, do you want me to bring up Hillside?
If you can go onto YouTube.
Okay.
If it doesn't work on your phone, I think we are live, so we can stop the Ustream and we can find it online.
Okay. Should I just look up?
Oh, here. Does it look like you're on?
You can work from there, I think.
Okay.
Can you?
Yeah.
Okay, fabulous.
I know that after I heard the Oceans one, I found the I Surrender one. So.
Okay, let me see if I can sync your phone to my speaker. Because you gotta get the full meal deal. Okay, Bluetooth. Hey! Aha. Okay. You ready?
Yeah.
Oh, I gotta find it again. Where was it? How do I get back to How do I get back to YouTube? Okay.
Is it there?
Yeah.
Is that it?
Okay. 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 As you were.
It's all good.
Get all still and relaxed and focused.
Here I am, down on my knees again, surrendering all, surrendering all, and find me here, Lord, as you draw me near. I'm desperate for you. Desperate for you, I surrender. Drench my soul as mercy and grace unfold. I hunger and thirst. I hunger and thirst. With arms stretched wide, I know you hear my cry. Speak to me now. Speak to me now. surrender. I surrender. I wanna know you more. I wanna know you more.
That's by Hillsong. Thank you. So, this is a Buddhist class, not a Christian class, but the worship songs are timeless. And actually, that's what the term bhakti means in Sanskrit. A lot of kirtan that is chanted in yoga is a form of practice called bhakti, which is devotional singing. And that's all any of this is, right? And I truly believe that all devotional singing is in praise of the teacher. And, because you're trying to reach the teacher to become the teacher so that you can then give that gift to someone else, right? So that's class. And I know that wasn't a yoga asana class like you were hoping for, but I hope you got something out of it.
Yeah, a little different.
So we always end class with a little formal dedication. So just bear with us while we finish this off.
Sashi
Buki Jugshing Meithok Dramri Raving Shi Nyande Gampati Sange Shindu Mikteyua Gidroganamdak Shingla Jubarshok Iram Guru Ratna Mandalakam Niryatayami Dikeokum Shunam Yeshe Zozokshin Shunam Yeshe Lejunwe Dampakuni Toparshun. Thank you. That's class. So we could probably shut this off.
Okay. Let me do that.
And there's one more class, and then we'll be closed for a couple of weeks. And then we'll